Hello and welcome back to this channel. This is Reality Check. We care for hearts and minds with informative and healing conversations on marriage, parenting, relationships, stress management. If you haven't watched last week's episode, please make sure you watch it. And all things to do with mental health. And joining me this week is Dr. Evas, who again is not new to you. And we are going to be discussing personal finance alongside Jesse Ainebyoona, who has been on the show before and was amazing. And most of you were requesting for him, so he's back. And as the year unfolds, this is the perfect time to reset your finances, set new financial goals, and perhaps, aspire to manage your finances better. Of course, the year is already in high gear, but there's no better time than the present to start. Absolutely. Yeah. So welcome, Jesse. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Reachel.
Welcome, Dr. Evas.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you. Maybe just for the sake of our audience, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and why we picked you to talk about personal finance?
Thank you, Reachel. My name is Jesse Ainebyoona.
Yes.
Professionally trained as a mechanical engineer and married to Diana, together with 2 daughters. I am passionate about empowering people to become a better version of themselves, especially in how they handle their personal finances.
Yes.
So I love to empower people to take better care of their money, because as we are going to talk about it, when your money is not at peace,
even
you can't be at
you
peace.
Cannot. That's a wonderful mantra. Yeah. My money is not at peace, I am not at peace.
And I think that's why it's a great topic for mental health.
Yeah. Yes.
Because when you're not okay with in your pocket, you can't be fine in your mind.
Yeah.
So when we handle our money better, we can go a long way in taking better care of ourselves, but even others.
Yeah. This is true. So welcome, Jesse. Welcome, Evas.
Thank you.
I think let's start by breaking down what personal finance is, because when we think about finance, maybe some of us think about organizations. Yeah. We think about companies, we think about businesses. What is entailed in personal finance? And maybe we'll start with the expert first. Yes.
We manage our organizational finances so well, and when it comes to our personal finances, we mismanage them so well.
Yes, we fail.
Yeah, we fail to do that. But personal financial management is really about how you handle your personal finances. What system, what have you put in place to ensure that your personal money, your personal finances, that money which you earn every month is well managed. In other words, you know how much is coming in and you know where it is going. I think the worst thing that can happen is to ask, where did my money go?
Yes.
Where did my money go? Whenever we ask ourselves that question, then that is just as an indicator of a gap in our personal financial system.
Evas?
Well, after Jesse has spoken,
what do you say?
What do I say? But I think for me, I'll focus more on the psychology of money.
True.
Because managing money is behavior. And I was just thinking about some of the people we support. One particular case that had a problem. Imagine someone is coming for therapy because of impulsive spending.
Yes.
You see? But just for our viewers to understand that every behavior has a root.
True.
There is a root. So some of the spending is rooted in low self-esteem. So we try to compensate or we do compensatory living. So if you're not feeling sufficient, then you're going to portray certain behaviors, and some of them reflect in how we handle money.
That's true.
For instance, someone goes and spends, I've never forgotten this, someone spends 9 million shillings in a bar one night.
No way.
Yeah. One night. Wow. Why? Because he's trying to make people love him.
Yes.
Love him, not even happy, but see me, see.
I care about
this,
you.
no value. I have value.
I have value.
I don't care. I have value.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's rooted. There's some psychology behind
sure.
financial management and financial expenditure. So
Yeah.
I think that's what I'll focus on.
Yeah, and that probably leads me to my next question, because again, when we think about personal finance, we can get overwhelmed with the term and budgeting and saving and investing. So what would be a good place to start? I like what you have talked about in terms of the psychology, maybe even understanding our money personalities, if that's a thing. What would be a good place to start in deciding, okay, this year I want to manage my finances better. Where can I start? What do I start with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a good place to start is like what we normally do when we are requesting an Uber or something. Normally, they will ask you two things. One, what is your present location?
Got it.
So where are you,
Where are you
right
now?
now? And then the second question is, where are you going?
True.
So I think that's a good question to ask ourselves at the beginning of the year. Because it's important for us to know, where are we now? Evas has mentioned something that is pertinent, the issue of behavior.
Yeah.
Personal financial management is not a math issue. It's a behavior issue. It's not about the 10%, the 20%. No.
Yes.
You can have all that math right on paper. Just like some people will go to the supermarket with their shopping list.
Yes.
And
but
then by the
still,
time you finish shopping, you even don't know where the list is. And yet the cart is full.
Yes.
You know, so
Are you talking about who?
you're pointing fingers.
we have all these good ideas,
Yeah.
but we need to address the issue of behavior. So I think it's important for us to first ask ourselves, where are we?
Yeah.
What financial behaviors do we have that are not serving us? Things like, I have money and I am quick to spend even before I have consulted my budget. Recently, I was moving with my daughter, 6 years old, then now 7. So she looked at a toy on the street and she said, Daddy, can we buy that? I had the money.
Yes.
I could have bought it.
Yes.
But I said, maybe it's a good time for me to teach a lesson.
Teachable moment.
So I told her, Ruby, you've noticed that whenever we go to buy things in the supermarket, we have a
A
list.
list. Yes.
The reason we go with that list is because we have planned what to buy. So the reason we can't buy that thing now is because we did not have a plan to buy it.
Got it.
So when we get back home and we look at what we need to buy, if we think we need it, we shall put it on the list so that the next time we go, we buy it. So in a way, I was helping her to understand, you plan what to buy and then you buy what you have planned.
Planned. Yes.
So it's important to first identify which behaviors are not serving us and which behaviors we need.
Yeah.
Behaviors like budgeting, behaviors like saving, regardless of how much money you're earning, regardless of the amount you save. The most important thing is the behavior.
Saving, yeah.
Because when you're faithful with a little, then you will be entrusted with more.
Yeah.
But the behaviors will keep on magnifying. If you cannot handle 500,000, if you cannot handle 1 million shillings, when you get 10 million shillings, it will be no different.
Yeah.
In fact, money will just unmask.
Magnify.
It will just magnify the little behaviors that you have been having.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the repercussions will be catastrophic.
Thank you. It
With
just
500, with 500,000, maybe no one will notice, but with 5 million shillings, we'll be like, "Yee,
Exactly.
you spent 5 million shillings where?"
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. So the person who spent 9 million in one night probably started with spending 100,000. And now that they are in charge of bigger resource, they can afford to spend 9 million one night.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
The challenge is actually spending 1 million and the following day you're depressed. You're like, how did I do
How did
this?
I do that?
Yeah.
What comforts me is actually that this person is uncomfortable
Yeah.
and knows why,
Yes.
because then the following day they're like, people don't even see me. That's why I emphasize the behavioral aspects.
Yeah.
And Rachel, if you wish, as Jesse was talking, I was actually thinking that it all begins with earning, and especially the start of the year.
Yeah.
I was thinking, we talked about resolutions that people make
Yes.
at the start of the year, and I think one of them that probably about over 90% will do is to make more money.
Yes.
But I also want to come, therefore, from the standpoint of making more money. My experience is that people make money, but we never ask ourselves for what.
Yeah.
And so we all go out there. This year, I'm going to make more money.
Yeah.
I'm going to make more money. I'm going to make more money. And it really burdens me that we have, or I've observed so many people that have money, but we never have good quality life.
Yes.
And so I think it's also important for us to talk about that. Do people, when we want more money, before you spend, and do you even are focused on how money serves you to be a better person, to be better quality for your family, to be better? Because then it speaks to the prioritization.
Yes.
So the priorities. So when you set priorities, what are you spending this money on? Because it's part of the discipline.
Yes.
And I think a major discipline,
Very true.
the whole budgeting.
Yes.
So if you're committing money to something, how is this making you better?
Yeah.
Better. What if you're buying a cooker or washing machine? Why have you committed that to that? So the why behind the what, I think, is so
very
important.
important.
It is very important.
Yeah.
For instance, we know that, especially as women, Rachel, please, who buy clothes.
Yes.
One of the resolutions I made this year is not to buy an extra piece without decluttering.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so when I look at my wardrobe, am I sure that I need an extra piece of clothes? Do I?
Yeah. It's a good question to ask
I
yourself.
can relate.
You can relate.
You see that? So do I need this? And so if I get this extra suit, should I add it on all these
I
that I
have.
haven't really put on for the last 3 years?
True.
Yes.
3 years. Yet there are people out there who have nothing to put on. You know, so we just feel and feel and feel. So I just used that as an example, but for us to understand, because why are we, the money you're getting, the personal finances, we love to talk about it, but how does money serve you? How does it make you better? Does it make you better or does it make you mad? I remember that. the what was it, a slogan or whatever, the thing we use in money made man mad.
God made man,
Man
made money.
Money made man
You
mad.
see that? Yeah, so I just, my prayer is that because there's so much emptiness, so much material gathering that we are having, and it is not making our lives any better.
That's true.
So that's my burden.
Yeah.
It's not making us better.
We are collecting and
We are
hoarding.
collecting.
Yes.
We are hoarding. We are accumulating. We are accumulating, and that comes natural. By the way, it's natural for us to want more money, and there's nothing wrong with it. But do we ask ourselves, I don't want to have money and I'm so empty. You know. I don't want to accumulate money at the cost of relationships also. So I think that's where my eye keeps going.
The why behind the what. I think that's very important. So we've started from where am I now? So doing evaluation of where you are, what habits are you involved in that are not serving you, and what do you need to incorporate into your financial management to make you better, and then where do I want to go, which feeds into the why. Why are we? So let's turn to saving and investing, because this is an aspect of personal finance management. It's there are terms that we hear a lot, but also we think investing and saving, that's for people who have money, people who have a steady income. And you mentioned that you don't need to have a lot to save.
Absolutely.
So how can we change our perspective on this matter? Going into 2024, but also what are some investment opportunities? I know on social media people are always asking, I have 500,000 shillings, what can I do? What business can I do?
Yes.
How can I invest this money? What are some of those investment opportunities to consider in this year?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think when we talk about savings and investments, and it's good that they go together.
Together, yes.
Because many times when it comes to investing, it's good to invest what you have saved. It is not right to borrow to invest. Because God forbid, should anything go sour, at least don't lose someone's money. Let it be your money.
Yes.
And in a way, when it is your money, when you're investing what you have saved, you are very cautious and you're very careful. But to begin with, when it comes to saving, normally I ask a question during personal financial trainings. When do we save? Is it after we have spent and then we save what is left? Or we first remove and then we spend? And the conversation is always...
So true.
It's always quite interesting. But the truth of the matter, and I like to use this analogy, when you put breadcrumbs or sugar on the floor, on a clean floor like this one, within about 10 minutes, you'll see ants.
Ants, yes.
Yet before, you don't see them. It's like money has a spy system. The moment you have money, it tells all the needs. Money is around.
That's so true.
Somehow when you have money, that's when someone calls you and says, can you be of help?
Yes.
That's when the need comes up. That's when things come up that need that money. When you had no money, no one was on you. But now that you have the money, the needs are here. That's why take savings as a matter of priority.
Got it.
Because if you don't save it, you will still use that money anyway.
True.
You will still use it. So the better place to start is, and a good way to save is save a small portion, one that will not overwhelm you. I think sometimes the reason people don't save is because they are over ambitious. So they take off a big chunk, and before you know it, you're like, man, I need that money. I need that money because I need it, you know? So I think take off a small portion, maybe a 10%. And the beauty about that is that you're building the behavior. It's not even about the amount. It is about the behavior. Because when you begin to receive money and you have built the system that the first portion of my income may be 10% or 15%, whichever you can manage, when you build that system, it becomes automatic. So whether small money or big money, and you'll be amazed. If you keep on saving money, you'll even be shocked at where did this money come from. And yet if you didn't save it, you'd have spent it anyway. So I think a good place to start is build the behavior and the habit of saving, regardless of how much money you're receiving. And then when it comes to investments, and another thing, by the way, about saving is there are also behavioral systems. There are lifestyle changes we can make. For example, you could be going to the shop every day, you buy quarter kilo, tomorrow you buy another quarter. Do you know how much money you have spent in a week? So behavior changes like buying in bulk can also be a way of saving. In case you find it hard to save at a personal level, you can work as a group, whereby there is an accountability mechanism to say, bring the money. So that way, whether you want it or you don't, you will still save money. So those are ways we can find a way to save. When it comes to investing, one of the things I highly encourage people, and I share my own experience, how someone talked about that there is money in onions. So I went, to somewhere deep down there in Chiboga, and I was working with this old man. And the old man would call me and say, kakati bamazo okusawa, bagenda kutema amavunike. And I'm thinking, what is that?
Lord.
Not the long story short. I said, you know what? I have put in enough. I think it's better to stop here before I lose any more. So many times people invest on excitement. There's money in goats.
Trends.
You have even never reared a goat. You don't even know what a sick goat looks like. So whenever it comes to investing, I highly encourage that we invest in familiar ventures. Invest in things that you're familiar with.
That's true.
Secondly, don't be so excited about big returns. If it is too good to be true,
then it is too good to be true.
Maybe it's not true.
Maybe it's not true.
Yes, maybe it's not true. Because that's how we end up losing the little money that we have saved. So whenever you're saving money, there are regulatory bodies. If you're buying land, involve a lawyer. We bought land and it took us 10 years to get a title. We didn't even get it from the land real estate. We got it from a law firm.
10 years.
10 years to get a land title. So when you're investing money, please use regulatory bodies. If it is a financial investment, is it regulated by the Capital Markets Authority? Is it regulated by Bank of Uganda? You know, are you working with someone that knows this trade? And that's why we can work together in groups. But when you're investing money, be mindful. There are now financial services like unit trusts. You can learn a bit more about that. If you have money on your account, you can fix it with your bank. You know, there are shares. All those are opportunities, but you need to get knowledge before you go into some of those ventures.
Those are really good ideas, actually. And I think investing in the familiar is important. The trends are so many.
Absolutely.
It's goats, it's passion fruits, it's chicken. I mean, recently we heard about this scam that, you know, people lost money. What was it called? Something to do with chicken.
I saw that.
You know, and people invested money and eventually lost it. And like you said, if it's too good to be true, then it's probably not true. I think the other thing is our desire to see the money grow very quickly.
Yes.
I think we need to be patient.
Yes.
That the money is going to grow eventually.
Exactly.
And just build the muscle and build the discipline.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Reachel, what do I say?
You mean you are flower on this?
Yes, I am. I was listening to Jesse, and you know, when you listen, you get the behaviors behind.
Yes.
I think what I would add, I'm so
You're learning as well.
I'm learning a lot. Thank you, Jesse. And I like that you mentioned that there's a spy system.
Yes. Money has a spy system.
Yeah. So there is something that triggers your brain.
Yeah.
And maybe two things I would mention there is always for people to check once again. To check, because the moment you get money, then you feel like you're triggered to change style, change this, change that.
Yes.
The question is, then what?
Then what?
Yeah, then what? You know, then what? So you've been buying a shoe of 100,000, but all of a sudden you feel you can afford one of, no.
200.
No.
Hey.
No, Reachel.
Hey.
1M.
No.
No, I saw some.
You go from 100 to 1 million.
No, we do.
They do, really?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Wow. There are so many shops that are selling shoes, 2.5. I saw one of 3.9, 4M pretty much. Yes, 1.8. And so the thing is, so if you put on a shoe of that amount, really, like, who cares?
What? Nobody
Who cares? Like, no one cares.
Yeah.
So the importance of focusing on, do I need it?
Yes.
Do I really need this?
Yeah.
And do I have to spend all this money? Now, again, Jesse mentioned that saving before we spend. So there is, we have to remember that once again we are triggered to let's do that, let's do that. So there is always a need for us to restrain, to exercise restraint, to exercise restraint.
That's true.
Yeah. So when you feel all this urge to spend and buy this and buy that and buy that, there are voices that are telling you to go do that. Can you speak back to that and say to those voices?
Yes.
Very, very important. And related to that is also encouraging people to have the ability to say no. Jesse mentioned that when you get money, then everyone, that spy system. Yes. I was just thinking, can we get something to disable it?
That spy system.
So if we can't disable it, generally at individual level, someone has to do that.
Yeah.
One of the things I've learned over time is to say no. And to say no without apology. You know, sometimes we feel like we have to explain and explain and explain. So the money you had put aside to save, someone comes and says, lend me money. Right? Lend me money. I actually had one who came recently and said, lend me money. She called me. It was, you know, a strange call. And they needed money. And they needed money to take their mom to hospital, their old mom to hospital. That same day, I was struggling, trying to set up an appointment to have my mom, undergo major surgery. And then I thought, okay, how did this person think about me? Like, in their whole network, how did they come to
What informed that decision?
Why me?
Why
eh?
me? That's Spy Network.
The Spy Network, I didn't even have the money. That Spy Network didn't work, okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, can we, because sometimes when we say no, we feel embarrassed, we
Yeah.
feel guilty, we
Yeah.
feel, and that's one of the things that actually affects our ability to save and manage our finances. Okay, you feel like you have an obligation to
give.
what my daughter one time called manager of the universe. So you have to be the manager of the universe. You have to solve this problem, solve that, and solve that, and solve that. And that affects our ability to save and manage our personal finances.
True.
That's very, very true.
I think Evas mentioned something quite interesting. I know someone who said, when I have no money, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm well disciplined.
Yes. Until you have
the money. And the reason really is that when you have the money, enter this shop, and all of a sudden you feel like, I have the power to buy anything.
Yes.
That ability to restrain yourself. I mean, when our money is limited, somehow you count all the costs. You count which restaurant you go to. But somehow when you have money, you don't mind going to
where do
a
you want to
high-end
go?
place.
Just say where you want to go.
Exactly. And then you realize that, this money within a short time, it came, but it has gone to waste. So how I pray that money does not change who we are, that we can have an ability to remain sober, even with a lot of money, so that when we are blessed with more, this more does not go to waste. I think many times our desires, our ability to delay gratification, all this money comes through, and in fact, if there was a way to calculate how much money comes to us, many times our accounts become like, conduits.
The money is just passing.
It's just passing through. So the money comes to you, but because of our inability to tame our desires and manage it well, it just goes through us.
And do logical thinking.
Exactly.
Then what? All these things we are talking about is impulse control. So if you control impulsivity, then you reason. Then you're able to say, I don't think I need this. So if I buy this, can't this shoe work? Do I need it? So we need to control impulse. Impulsivity is the number one source of what can I say? Indiscipline. Indiscipline in all areas, but mainly in finances, now that we are talking about that. But speaking of which, I'm also remembering something that happens with all behavior aspects. Our inability to see in the future, to zoom in the future. Because sometimes when we have, especially speaking to people who have regular income, so that every month, every 25th, we are paid. There is a temptation to think that is going to be so for the next 100 years. And I think that's one of the things that really affects us as individuals. Planning and knowing that there is a day when you might not have that money.
This is true.
Something can happen. Anything can happen. I was doing stress counseling for people during COVID. And you know how many people lost jobs. But most of these things come without us planning.
That's true.
We never see this. We never have a workshop where you plan and no. But to have it in our minds that, yes, today I'm blessed, but seasons change. Anything can happen. I may not be without this money.
Very true.
So don't just get excited. Don't get uncontrolled, and you just, do things without any sense of restraint.
I think
something very quite interesting here is, I think this has been about enemies of effectiveness in personal finance, and we've looked at being impulse, spenders, inability to see ahead. I think a third one that is so critical is managing perception. Managing perception. You can't believe you know, we used to think peer pressure is for young people.
Oh
No,
no,
it's
It
not.
grew with us,
It
you know.
did, and evolved.
Exactly. So that alone eats
Yeah.
us up, that we spend money we don't have to impress people that we think are thinking about us.
And yet
You know, you go to a wedding meeting and you don't realize that this whole thing is staged up.
It is.
You know how people are contributing and they are being read.
Yes,
Then you don't have the money, but then you feel like,
How
people
am I
need
going
to
to
see
say,
me.
Micah, 100?
So here you are, you send money that you don't have.
Yeah.
Sometimes to avoid all that, I've had to pull the groom or the bride aside and say, you know what? This is what I'm giving you, and please.
Yes.
Don't
hope
put it
you-
anywhere.
I hope you appreciate it, because
Yes.
I mean, that's who I am.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are sending children to schools that we can't afford
Yeah.
because our colleagues in our group, that's where people are taking children to school.
school.
We are buying new cars, not because we can afford them, but because that is the trend.
Society,
We are
yes.
buying phones, we are staying in
Yes.
places that we can't afford,
Yes.
just to get perception among other people and fit in. And you know, when you, I like to give an example that when your shoe is squeezing you, to the other people you look smart. It is only you.
Who knows? Your
It is
trouble.
only you who knows how bad that is pressing you. So many times we are trying to impress people
Yeah.
because of social media, where people are going on their birthdays and all. So you also want to pull off a show, you know, yet you very well know that you can't
You
afford
can't
it.
afford
The
it.
money.
If you don't have a big birthday event, what happens?
You know, Evas, you keep asking that question, and every time I'm on this show, I am evaluating myself.
Yes.
So I realize that I'm at that stage in my life where I ask myself, do I really need another pair of shoes?
Yeah.
Do I really need to buy? You know, I used to disturb my husband every time a wedding was coming up. I need a new dress.
You actually
Because
say, I
can't
have
wear
nothing
the-
to
I have
put
nothing
on.
to wear. Because I can't wear the other one because I
Yeah.
took pictures in it. People saw that I wore it for that wedding. I cannot wear it for this wedding. This year I was like, no, the dresses I have are enough. I'll just spread them out for the weddings. And even if I repeat, there is nothing wrong with that. You know,
Yes.
asking yourself that question, and then what?
Yes. And who
Would save
cares?
you. Nobody cares.
You know, people are busy.
That's
They are
true.
concerned about
Yeah.
more concerning
That's true.
issues.
That's
True.
true.
But I like that Jesse talked about perception, and from in psychology we call it an imaginary audience.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so most of the time we imagine the audience is, we just on the platform.
We are
and
there.
We are
Yeah.
there,
An audience.
and the audience is just,
True.
and it's not there. So
Yeah.
imaginary audience is the number one killer and cause of radical, indisciplined
Yeah.
practices in
true.
life.
Very true.
Because like, who really cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I taught my children years back never to follow trends. And I think I've achieved, I will not tell you the percentage I've achieved. But I want to tell you, it's something that we have to encourage people to
Yeah.
adopt.
Yeah.
I mean, don't follow trends, like no one cares.
Yeah.
And one of the things I told them was, don't allow anyone to set a trend for you. You know, you have to do your personal brand.
Yeah.
So if I wake up and choose to wear this and repeat this, and honestly,
Yeah.
that's me. That's what I've decided to do.
True.
And it doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
So I think we have to support people to understand that those imaginary audiences actually are not there.
Yeah.
They're not there. That's very
And
true.
just talking about some of these celebrations, that like birthday,
Yeah.
I think if it is important to somebody out there, because there's also a place for us to enjoy our money.
For sure.
Yeah, there is a place for us to enjoy
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
money,
Yeah.
and it's good for you to plan it.
Yes. You know
Just
the birthday
exactly.
is coming up. So.
You know that it's coming. You want it a certain way. That's okay. Plan it. So in your income, in your budgeting, in your saving, save for it. And when that happens, there is nothing wrong. So there is a place
Yeah.
to enjoy our money. Otherwise, we shall work so hard, and
And
then at the
be
end of the day, then
miserable.
what? You know.
And
So-
accumulate so much money.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
plan your fun. Fun is
Yeah.
part of life.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for us to plan it. Just like we plan it in terms of time, we can also put aside some money. to have something good and fun and exciting.
So personal finance doesn't have to be boring or
No.
miserable.
No.
I want us to quickly talk about family finances because we are also a family show and we speak to parents, we speak to husbands and wives. How can families best manage their finances? Of course, now there's different people involved. Personal finance is me as Reachel, you as Jesse and Evas. But now there's a husband, there's a wife, there are children. I want you both to speak to couples, especially in terms of how to best manage their finances.
Their finances. Well, when I think about couples, for some reason, the first thing that usually comes to my mind is something that happens all the time.
Yes.
And
then the family money. Dr. Evas.
For me,
and then his money is
our money.
Yeah, and I think for me, it is always about what's the vision of us as a family. Because the general concept around family finances is where do we want to be? And then when we are all crystal clear about it, can we be open about what is coming in? In other words, what is our household income? For couples that are watching, for families, do you know your household income?
Got it.
Because sometimes people don't know. They don't know how much they are earning. They don't know how much their husband is earning. They don't know how much their wife is earning. Or they are not disclosing to one another. And because of that, a family might go through a hard time, yet there is money. You know?
That's true.
Or the reverse is true. They may be spending and living large, yet they don't have money. So I think families, we need to be on the same page as far as our finances are concerned. And transparency in family finances is paramount. So let's cultivate an environment where we can freely talk about our money. How much have I earned? How much have you earned? What does that mean for us as a family? When two come together, we can go a long way. God put us together in families, and for me, one of the advantages of that is that then we leverage each other. You know, one is very good with the way we spend our money. Another one may be good with bringing it in. Another, God might have given you a skill that you can leverage to earn some additional income in the family. All that becomes possible when we know where we are. And then the rest of the concepts apply. You know, are we budgeting? Are we saving as a family? Are we investing as a family? You know, and then are we praying together about our finances? Do we have a common goal? You know, that we are working for this year so that we can see ourselves advancing, and then even bringing the children on board and then helping children to begin learning about money. So we need to train children to learn about work at an early stage so that they understand that daddy and mommy have to work to earn money. So when it comes in, let's be mindful of how we spend it.
That's so thank you, Jesse. I think, Rachel, you've had me say this. I was wondering where to begin from. I think it's much easier to manage personal finances than family finances. From my experience as a family therapist, that's number one. And number two is to say it's harder in the current times because now men and women are earning. It was much easier when one person was earning, another one managing it or spending it. I wish we were living in those times, because I have no problem spending.
And someone else earning.
That would be fun. But to take it more serious is, I also know that so many families are breaking because of money. There's so much domestic violence, there's so much breakdown of families because of money and managing money. And you've heard me say that there is so much unmarried money in families. So you're married, you celebrate anniversary, but your money is unmarried. And so I'll make a statement that as long as your money is unmarried, you're not going to have peace. So it's not about money in the pockets. No, it's actually how the hearts are connected. In managing money. And I remember we ran a particular session purely on family and money and marriage and money. And I just want to reiterate that if if we are not on the same page, money is such a big thing in marriage. It is. There are so many things, especially happening now, that because women, we are earning, it's a dynamic.
Yeah.
Most men sometimes are uncomfortable with how much money their wives are bringing in. I've made a statement and said, it's okay, husbands who are watching, that your wife can earn more and still be your wife. And it is okay for wives to still give full respect to their husbands, even when they don't earn as much money. So I really want to emphasize that. But the biggest point I was making here is, please make a decision. Make a decision to be vulnerable with money. Family finances can never be managed well if people are still hiding and hiding. And I've also made a statement, Jesse, you're here, you're the expert. Families don't advance as much as they would if they are hiding money.
I agree.
Absolutely.
If individuals are hiding money, somehow you don't advance. Because it affects teamwork. It affects your ability to plan together and see. You talked about a vision. You can't see big things because everyone is hiding. Is hiding. And so if we don't develop the discipline of vulnerability, and by saying this, one person has to begin. Don't wait. If you wait for your partner to be vulnerable, most likely they won't. And I can hear some people say, what are you saying? I give my money because this person. Remember, money and money management is behavior. It is, and behavior is nurtured. You have to cultivate this. And so don't wait until both of you are on the same page. If you're good with vulnerability, do that. Do that. I mean, I can be vulnerable. I made a decision when we got married that I was not going to hide money. There are so many decisions I made, but one of them was I didn't want money to control me. And I also made a decision that this money would be family money. Right? And so when and with time, you know, because behavior is something you repeat. So the moment you repeat this, you repeat, even when you feel like,
maybe I should hide.
You push, you know, you push. And before you know, then you do mastery of this behavior. So I want to encourage people. I want to encourage married people. Please be vulnerable. Be vulnerable, because if you don't, and I want to encourage husbands, you know, if the husband is bringing in money, it's for the family. It's for the family. It's for the team. So if your money doesn't service teamwork, then it's not doing anything. It's not doing anything. So vulnerability matters.
I recently learned that intimacy is not only being together physically, but it's being open, vulnerable, discussing those difficult areas. So and that normally happens with money, that husband and wife are not being open to one another. So like Dr. Evas has mentioned, I think it's very important that as much as possible, be open, be transparent. If you get a raise, you know, don't fail to mention it and then you just keep recording what was coming in last year.
Oh my
gosh.
No. That's so sneaky. Why do we behave like this?
you know, because you feel, it's selfishness at its core. At its core.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So
and by the way, for people to know that we are naturally selfish. So if you keep in selfishness, you haven't dealt with the natural you.
Exactly.
You're just... we continue to be Aleman.
Indeed.
So we all are born selfish, and it is okay. But we have to improve. When we adopt behaviors that work against our selfish nature, that's how we become a better version of ourselves.
Absolutely.
You see, because it is natural for us to want to hide. This we see it in children. When we have little babies. I don't remember ours, but when we were still young in the village, they give you something, they give me. I think it happens with every child.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. give and they give me, they go like this.
Yes.
So that should show us that we are we are
Naturally.
naturally self-centered.
True.
But our ability to break that cycle is reflected in how much we work against that. Don't keep in that comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, don't manage your finances from a comfortable place. So if we break the cycle of selfishness, and you actually, the best way to break that is to ask yourself, if my partner was hiding money the way that I'm doing, how would I feel?
How would I feel? Yes.
Now, it just reminded me of some years back, I think this wasn't through therapy, but I know a family, both of them are driving big cars, right? But their children have no school fees.
Think about that.
Yeah. V8.
The craziness of that.
What we were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So the world sees big cars,
Yes.
but actually you're not paying attention to
What is really important.
what is important.
Mm.
And that's why I say that if we don't work together as a family, as a teamwork,
Yeah.
partnership, if we don't do that, then each one of you just keeps hiding. I think we've talked about it. Banks
Yes.
are stuck with money of partners that
Yes.
have passed without revealing it.
Yes.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And I know
families
that.
are struggling, and
families
yet
are
there's
struggling.
money.
Yes. And I also remember some time back, a family, they lost a breadwinner. And after the funeral, children they just couldn't go to school. Yet this was a big business person, and he was hiding things, working with cousins and all that, not working with the partner. So I don't know whether we can emphasize the issue of partnership enough. Very important. These things are not ours. That money is not yours.
Yeah.
That money is for the family.
And you're going to leave it here. You are going to leave it here. I mean, so much to glean from this conversation. I know that we cannot exhaust the conversation on money. We can stay here all day. We've not even touched budgeting and debt. And maybe that's a reason for us to have Jesse back on the show. We'll pause here for today. Thank you so much,
You're
Jesse,
welcome, Reachel.
for lending us this information, by the way, is paid for, but here we are getting it free of charge. So thank you so much for that. And of course, if you have finance needs, I think finance training,
Yes.
Jesse is your person. We'll probably link your contact in our description box so that people can get in touch with you to support them in that area. Let us know what your financial goals are for 2024 and what you're doing to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
Where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10 with personal finance management? 10 being you are doing very well, your budgets are on point. 1 being I am struggling, you know, I'm in debt, I don't know how to save. Let us know how you're faring, and I hope this episode has been helpful in some shape or form to guide you to better personal finance management. Thank you once again for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you. We'll be back next week with another conversation. This is Reality Check.